Hi, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Aesthetics. I am so excited for this episode because I have a guest that you guys all been waiting for. Every time I get a shower in Galore Medical, they always ask me about HR, human resources, what to do when they hire an employee, what do they need to do with existing employees, and I have an expert here at Galore Medical. I've never thought the day would ever come, but I found one, you guys, an HR expert with her own business called Next Gen HR, primarily focused on medical practices like ourselves within the aesthetic community. Meet Cierra Michelle.
Hello.
Welcome, Sierra.
Thank you. Thank
So,
you.
for people who don't know you, do a brief introduction regarding your history and about Next Gen.
Alrighty. My name is Sierra. I am the owner, founder of NextGen HR. I've been in the medical industry. I started at Broward Health, working as an intern, working my way up through their ranks, hopping over to University of Miami, working there as an HR manager for both Bascom Palmer and Sylvester Cancer Center. Um, Leaving there, helping out Healthy MD as an HR director. Have been with Healthy MD for 2 years now, and I helped develop their entire HR department. So I just thought to myself, if I could do that for them, I could do it for anybody. And I created Next Gen HR.
Bars, you guys. Just black, beautiful excellence. I
Thank you.
love that. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I get a lot of business owners who come in who own med spas and they have a lot of questions. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Guys, we could Google the basic ones, right? So I don't want to ask Sierra the very basic ones you could probably get from ChatGPT or Google. But I want to ask her more scenario based things that an AI cannot give you that will help you, hire better and also train better when your employees do come in. So, first question is, what's the biggest mistake, hiring mistake, you see owners make, and how much does it really cost them?
One of the biggest mistakes, not doing background checks and not doing employment verifications. I think feedback from previous employers is a huge thing that you miss out on. People will try to woo you in their interviews and tell you that they're the next best thing. And they get there and it's the complete opposite when you could have saved yourself the trouble, called their last employer, and really got the tea.
Yeah. That's something I'm not gonna lie, you guys. At Galore Medical, I do not call references. I mean, I'm the owner. It's a little hectic seeing patients and managing HR as the business owner and also prioritizing patient care. It can be a little much when you're scoping out a candidate. You kind of take their word for it. I'm a little gullible at that, so that's a personality trait I need to work on. But that's something that Sierra just taught me today. Really check their references, call them, because you'll be surprised based off of what their reference may say. They might think that they're putting someone that will advocate for them when really that's not the truth, right?
Exactly.
I love that. So yeah, learn from my mistake in her experience. I love that. So another question is, if you had to choose, would you rather hire someone with perfect technical skills but a bad attitude, or someone with great attitude but needs training?
Great attitude, but needs training. You
Great
can,
attitude.
yeah, you can always develop people. You can pour into them and help them, grow and learn, especially if they have the passion and the drive and they're pleasant to work with. But someone with a bad attitude, man, they may be great at their job, but you're going to have employee relations issues out the woohoo.
Yeah. And we, Galore Medical, in my fourth year, had employee relational issues.
Ooh.
And, again, being a business owner, seeing patients, we're not equipped to handle things like that. I mean, we're not therapists, if two employees are going at it, like how would you handle that as a business owner? And so the beauty about Sierra and her company is she has all the experience, all the knowledge of how to protect your business, right? Because employee relations, when there's a problem there, it can lead to legality issues within the business,
For
right?
sure. Because at the end of the day, you're responsible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I love that. That's a really great answer in a question that ChatGPT won't be able to give you guys. So let's keep it going. Another question: what are the most common HR lawsuits you see in medical practice, and how can owners avoid them?
That is a good question. Definitely discriminatory practices. The first thing people will tell you is that, you fired them because you discriminate against them for their age, their race, their gender. They will literally come up with any and everything. The other thing that you'll see a lot is workers' comp lawsuits. They might have accidentally stabbed themselves with a needle. They might have gotten attacked by a patient. They may have tripped and fell and hurt themselves somewhere in your clinics, and that's on you.
Now, a lot of small businesses do not have workers' comp protection. How important is that
Oh,
for
so important.
so important,
Oh,
right?
yeah, that is required. Please, if you don't have, get workers' comp insurance ASAP. Definitely required.
I haven't had an issue where we had to deal with workers' comp in any capacity, but obviously the longer you're in business, the more you're predisposed to that. So that is a really great thing to look into, you guys. This is free game for you guys right here at Galore Academy. Follow Next Gen. She's going to post a lot more tips and examples. Another question is, what's one thing about employment law and aesthetics that most owners have no idea about, or but absolutely should? So I think employment law. So I was just about to hire an employment law lawyer, right? Someone who just deals with pretty much human resources. Um so I think what this question is saying, like, I don't know what exactly I'm hiring him for, but I felt like I needed him, you
You
know?
do. You do. I think it's maybe even if it's not full time, have them on retainer, have them on standby. Most importantly, you want to make sure that you're compliant. And I think that's the most important thing for employment law and aesthetics is being compliant with regulatory bodies and just employment law in general, FLSA. You want to make sure that you're following all rules and regulations, not opening up yourself to any new lawsuits, and you're protecting yourself, the business. And at the same time, like I'm not the type of HR that just protects myself, the business that I'm working with. I also like to protect the employees by educating them. Educating them on laws, educating them on policies, and making sure that they stay compliant so they protect themselves too.
I love that. Now, let's get into the money aspect of things because I know you've seen the reserves of some of these businesses, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are medical practices paying their staff too much, too little, or just wrong?
Oof. Just wrong.
I've been a nurse for 10 years. We've all felt it. We all felt abused. Tell
Listen,
me, why do you think they do that?
I think I think that they don't understand. I think they don't realize how much times are changing. Like right now, we're getting ready for a recession soon. I can't even buy eggs at this point. Like
Yeah,
it's expensive
seriously.
out here.
It's very.
And on top of that, the other thing that people need to take into account is your location. Like you can't pay the nurse in Miami the same that you're paying a nurse in Tallahassee. It just doesn't work. So
Even though Florida, if you Google it on ZipRecruiter and it says in Florida,
yep,
sometimes you have to put Broward County,
exactly.
Miami-Dade, West Palm, Boca if you're a little bit out east by the beach, and I had to learn that lesson as well. Even though ZipRecruiter would tell me one thing, it's not sometimes the right thing. Which brings me on to my next statement since we're talking about money, right? If an employee starts talking about money during the interview, is that a red flag or a green flag?
I don't. I think it's a beige flag.
Beige, okay.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. They kind of want to know whether or not they're wasting their time because obviously they have bills and things that they need to cover as well, right? And it also kind of opens it up for me looking from a recruiting aspect. Okay, does this person fit within what I'm looking for? Because I already know what my budget is. I'm not necessarily going to tell you right here, right now, what that is. But you telling me what you're looking for lets me know, do you fall within? Are you below? Are you above my range? And that's something that I can work with.
So, Sierra, what's the craziest or most awkward HR situation you've ever had to handle for a business?
I'm going to try to be as anonymous as possible.
Yes.
I received an email from a random email. I guess they like made a fake email to send this, and it contained, well, unfortunately, the email went through multiple channels, but it contained nude photos of an employee. And it said that one of our employees was doing random acts, and here's the proof, and we need to separate them immediately. So, unfortunately, the photos did appear to be taken in the company bathroom, which means now it's an employee relations problem because you're doing this on company property. So it was super awkward. We had to call her in and let her know that we needed to speak with her about an employee relations matter. when she came in, I let her know, something was presented to us. We need to speak with her about it. I had to turn the computer around to show the photos to her mid investigation and ask her if that was her or not so she could admit to what was done. That was super embarrassing. Good thing was it was still during COVID times and I was wearing a mask.
Okay.
So like
Beautiful.
she couldn't tell if I was blushing, smiling, which was the best part for me.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's spicy. I think I want to get into HR because you could hear a lot of stories, which I
Lots.
love, you know?
I could write a book.
So if you were hiring for your own med spa, what's one interview question you would ask that no one thinks to ask?
Oof. That's a tough question.
Now, I ask people, why did you leave your last job or why are you trying to leave your last job? Is that an appropriate question to ask?
That's
Okay.
definitely an appropriate question to ask. I think that most people ask that one, so that's a good question. It lets you know kind of what's going on in their life, what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably say I would ask something else because, if you're running a med spa, you're most likely it's owner ran.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of want to know if this was your company, how would you show up? How would you prepare? How would you present yourself at your own organization? What would you do that would help increase Galore Medical?
Mm-hmm.
What would you do that helps make us different from the competitors? Because, it's small. You want to set yourself apart and you want people that help join that mission of setting yourself apart from others. So if they can provide something that's different, that's new, I think that's something you'd want to know that a lot of people don't ask. Like, what can you bring to me that's different from everybody else?
Yeah. And I've asked someone how old they were during an interview. Is that
Yeah, no.
Yikes. Well, learn from my mistakes, you guys. I asked you how old you were, Paula, because I just can't do it. Okay, I'm 34, you guys, and if I have some 18-year-old Paula, guys, you guys haven't seen Paula, but Paula looks like a baby. So I'm like, girl, where did you get all this experience from, and how old are you? Because I don't think I want to work with a 19-year-old because maturity. But believe it or not, Paula's the youngest and actually the most mature here, the most mature employee here, one of the most at Galore Medical. So I guess the age doesn't matter
Age doesn't matter.
because Paula's great.
Yeah.
So what other questions do you think a lot of owners fail to ask during the interview process? Or what do you think is the most important question to ask?
Most important? Situational questions, experience questions, especially in your line of business. You kind of want to get some information on their customer service skills. How would you handle a difficult customer? Can you tell me about a time where you had to interact with a patient, something went wrong, and how did you handle that? How did you navigate that? How do you manage stress? Because a lot of times things can get stressed. There's high volumes, and you kind of have to figure out and navigate, and somebody's not always there to help you because you might be in with another patient. You might need to kind of calm the situation down before others get there. So I think that those are extremely important questions.
I think that's awesome. How do you handle stress? Every medical practice it's high volume. I mean, at Galore Medical, we see a lot of patients because I'm the injector. You have an esthetician in the back. Patients are coming in and out, phone calls coming in, text messages, emails. And sometimes a lot of people can be talking to that employee at the same time. And, how well can that employee handle it? And I've seen employees crumble under the pressure, so yeah, I think how well do you handle stress situational questions is something that I could improve on in my interviewing process. So thank you, Cici, for teaching me. I've learned a lot today. And I hope you guys learn a lot from this podcast as well. One final question. I get a lot of med spa owners who have no HR development whatsoever. How important is it to have an HR department in a business, no matter if it's just one employee or 5 or even 20? I don't know the volume, but how important is it even with just one? Because I know a lot of the people that come in have like 1 or 2.
Yeah. I think if you're more on the smaller scale, 1 to 5 employees, maybe not an in-house, but definitely a consultant like myself, would be extremely important. HR in general is important for any business, no matter the size, no matter the employee count. We kind of help steer you in legal matters, compliance matters, onboarding, employee relations matters, leave of absence issues, kind of just making sure that you're compliant and respectful and helpful through any and all situations.
I love that. So you guys take it from me. When I first started Galore Medical, I had no HR department. I didn't have an employee handbook. Payroll was paper check, just my little business checkbook that I would, pay my employees with, put a little envelope and write their name on it. Um, I had no time clock system. It was severely underdeveloped and I was severely inexperienced. You guys know my history. I never opened a medical office before and I've never worked in one. I only worked in major corporations and hospital systems. And so stepping into this environment was very different for me. And I've learned from my mistakes and I made so many. I can't even tell you guys how many mistakes I've made till this day. It's still happening. So, having someone like Cierra and her company saves you so much money and time, like a lot of money and a lot of time that I could just think back on whenever I have a conversation with her. It's like, wow, I should have done this first. And so definitely hit up Next Gen HR. She will give you so many pearls. She'll consult with you, develop a package that works best for your business. Even though you may not need all of the services, she could develop something for you. And you won't be sorry because HR is so important. Your employees need to be happy, but you as a business owner need to protect your business first. And that starts with a great streamlined human resources department. So thank you, Cici, for having
Thank
us.
you for having me.
Anytime. Check us out on our next episode. If you need Cici, we'll link her Instagram below. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.